started. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us here tonight for Demystifying the Board, the 2026-2028 Biennium elections. We are here to learn more about the CFUW board and the nominations process. With me here tonight, we have Jamie Began from our Executive Director from the National Office, Karen Dunnett, VP Atlantic Provinces, and Chair of the Governance Committee. And welcome Janet Woolworth, Chair of the Nominations Committee. Thank you very much, ladies, for being here tonight. And thank you to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules for being here with us tonight. Anne is here. So we can move on to the next slide. So we'll just, if you haven't done it already, if you please put your new name, oh my goodness, I can't speak tonight. Use the rename in the upper right of your specific picture to include your location and your club. Please stay on mute. Write in the chat space any questions that you may have. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation tonight. And Anne Corden has offered to monitor the chat space for us here today. If you need translation, you can use your CC button, which can help you with the language of your choice. All right, and we'll move on. So we're going to move on and ask Barb Gustafson, who is the VP of the Prairies, to please read our land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Linda. CFUW acknowledges that we are indebted to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, past, present, and future, and we pay respect to them as we gather across Canada and recognize and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land, air, and sea.
Thank you. All right.
So
we've got...
Oh, sorry. Were you going to read the French?
No, I don't think there's any, no.
All right. So I'll move on to the next slide.
Okay.
So the first part of the webinar will be dealing with the board, the people on the board, and the skills that are good ones to have if you are a board member. The second part will be the nominations and candidate information, along with election and the supports that the board will supply during the election and post-election. And that is when we will be having questions right at the very end. And here is your board. As you can see, the president, vice president, VP Atlantic, VP International, Anne Corden, VP members. I should probably give names from the beginning. Linda Sestock, the president, Audrey Hobbs, the VP Education, Grace Hollett, VP International Relations, Anne Corden, VP Membership, Barb Gustafson, VP Prairies and Deputy President, Susan Lane, Vice President Finance, Heather Oxman, VP Advocacy, Sandra Shaw, VP Ontario, Sheila Service, VP BC, myself as VP Atlantic, Karen Dunnett, and Marlene Starkman is our RD chair, RD chair of the RD committee, I should say, and a permanent guest at the RD meetings. And executive director is there, Jamie Began. Oops, sorry. Our national staff, Jamie Began is the executive director. Our membership engagement coordinator is Elizabeth Malcolm, national advocacy and policy specialist. I'm going to ask Jamie to help me with her name because I don't want to say it incorrectly.
It's Camilla Taipei.
Taipei, thank you. And our administrative and organizational projects coordinator, Mabinti Torre. So what does the board do? We establish the vision and values, mission and philosophy, strategic planning, the programs and services, and evaluation. And very importantly, we establish and ensure the financial health of the organization. Are you not hearing me? I just had a message about unmuting. Anyway, I'm sorry. Ensures the organization has sufficient and appropriate human resources, directs organization operations, and we have the lists under that. We ensure close relationship with clubs and across the federation, respond to changing needs and concerns of the clubs, find new ways to meet club needs, and, the last one. Use regional and national events to support Federation solidarity. We also have very important legal accountabilities as members of a board of directors. They include the fiduciary responsibility, duty of loyalty, duty of confidentiality, and duty to avoid conflicts of interests. More detail of these things and of the board is in that overview document that was enclosed with the special newsletter back in November, and we'll tell you again where you can get information on this later on in the presentation. And how do we work? We work as a team. We serve on various committees together and capitalize on all of the skills around the table. Using our networks, we achieve more than what we can do alone. We listen. We commit time and energy to the work, setting realistic expectations, and we partner with the executive director who directs the staff. And we have committees. They provide valuable insight to the board or the staff, facilitate national programs and initiatives, serve as important training ground for future leaders, and the board committees perform work that helps advance the mission and vision of CFUW. And here they are. We have the standing committees: advocacy, articles and bylaws, communications, education, finance, governance, human resources, international relations, membership, nominations, regional directors, and resolutions. And under a couple of those, we have also an adopted resolutions book review that deals with our resolutions, our proposed resolutions that come to the AGM each year, and they are stored in a book that needs review and updating, and so there's a committee for that. We have environment and climate change, as it's a very important issue at the time. We have an Indigenous support subcommittee, and we have the status of women and human rights. So, Linda, over to you.
Yes. So here is our CFUW goals for 2025-2026. To reaffirm and amplify CFUW's advocacy role, strengthen education as the foundation for empowerment and action, invest in relationships and strategic alliances, empower and support clubs and their members as the heart of CFUW. All right, and then we'll move right into the president highlights. Some of our highlights were, for me, being elected at the first in-person post-COVID AGM in Edmonton, virtual AGM 2025, responding to member feedback, attending club and regional events, which is a highlight for every president, I believe, 2026 AGM and conference planning, providing leadership to refinement of strategic goals and implementation of board work plans, United Nations Commission on the Status of Women 69 and 70, engaging with external organizations, the Graduate Women International Triennial, which occurred in Zambia, Africa in September 2025. And the highlight of that trip for me, of course, was the visit to Chapata in the eastern part of Zambia to visit our international service project, Young, Healthy, Happy, Safe, with the Stephen Lewis Foundation. All right, and then on to you, Audrey.
Okay, yes, thank you. I want to just not read what's there, but go over. This is what we have accomplished in the last couple of years. I have to say, though, that we're in progress, that it takes time. It takes time. So we've looked at the state of post-secondary education in Canada. We've looked at, and that is continuing. We have begun a piece that lets us know what real financial literacy is for women and girls, and that's highly connected to advocacy and how that affects abused women. We are the beginning of a long-term planning for education that will be relevant in today's world, and it includes connecting with allies. One of the pieces that has been outstanding for me and standing out for me is how fast change takes place. If you look over the last 25 years, the last 5 years have raced by and have had so many changes. And I think that's a priority for education to keep up with those changes, which leads us into technology. And in 2025, in the beginning, the work on AI, we are just beginning there. And it's easy to get mired down and go down a rabbit hole there. We must not forget, though, the benefits of early learning and childcare agreements. That was a major push over the past few years. And although it's sitting in law and in government budgets, it is not implemented so that it is perfect for parents. The Indigenous Subcommittee is connected to the Education Committee, and it is my pleasure to work with Mary Scott, who is so good about connecting us with the TRC. And we really are looking at that piece in depth, and will continue to do that. And the change we want to see over the years is nothing about us without us. If we're talking about Indigenous issues, we should be talking and listening with Indigenous women. Women in health, by women, for women, and this is connected to the study group for health. Mental health concerns in the education sector that includes both students and educators of all ages, and we're still learning about that, and it's important we learn. And the study groups and think tanks across current subject areas, where I think that is the key part of education, that we can move into a study group if we need to and learn what it is we need to learn before we jump into advocacy. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Audrey. Now we're going to move on to Grace, VP International Relations. I think you're muted, Grace, please.
Yeah, okay. Each of the major items in international relations is covered in a subcommittee, and that's the way we chose to do it last year and this year. It's not necessarily the only way to do it. So each member on the IR standing committee also has membership on a subcommittee, at least one, usually one. So I'll talk about the various items that we deal with. So first of all, the Commission on the Status of Women. We have a delegation going to the UN this year, not as big as last year for some rather obvious reasons, I think. But we have a presentation prepared, an in-person presentation that we'll be talking about it in Club Action News and in other correspondence to the membership. We have the panelists chosen, or they agreed to come with us to New York for that session. We have our delegates training started, and next week we start meeting with the panelists and refining the work we're doing. In CAMEUS, I think all the people here tonight are familiar with what CAMEUS stands for, the collaborative group of two other similar organizations to CFUW, one in Mexico and one in the US. And we also, one of the things that we do is also do a presentation at the Commission on the Status of Women. And that presentation is done virtually. So all of you will be able to come in on that particular session, and we'll advertise the dates, the topics, and so on. The third big item that we're involved in is the International Service Project, which previously, the last couple of years, was with 60 Million Girls in Nepal, but now is with the Stephen Lewis Foundation in Zambia. And we organized this with two of the workers with the Stephen Lewis Foundation. And Linda's already mentioned that 5 of us who were at Zambia for the triennial went to visit these schools, and it was really an eye-opener. And we've been using the pictures from there in our promotion. And by the way, we have raised, as of this afternoon, $9,711.60. So our goal is 15,000. So we're quite pleased with that. The project is young, happy, healthy, and safe. And so we want to keep particularly the girls in school, away from early marriage, away from AIDS. And we teach the program that we're funding helps teach them about human sexuality, and as well as, of course, they're involved in all their regular school subjects as well. We have a lot of information on the website, so I'm not going to do that in my 1 minute tonight. So the other item that we're really involved in is two international organizations, Graduate Women International and the International Alliance of Women. We spent a lot of time in getting ready, particularly for the GWI one, and the 4 resolutions we looked at CFW's resolutions, and the 4 resolutions that we chose and modified somewhat to be suitable for the international stage. They were all passed. All the amendments that we made to the Constitution were passed. The people from CFUW who were nominated to positions were elected, and including the President, Pat Patton. So it was a successful trip to Zambia, and the Zambian women, as I'm sure Linda and the others will say, were just absolutely amazing. So these were the main things. We've also been involved in webinars and drop-ins and awards for different international projects that clubs are involved in.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you, Grace. So now we're going to move on to Ann Corden, VP Membership.
We all know and appreciate that our members are the heart of our organization. I mean, it goes without saying, without members, we can't do all these amazing things. And both I and the committee that I'm honored to work with have taken this very seriously over the last year and a half. So if membership is the support, development, and growth of our members, what have we been up to? Well, we started the Biennium by looking at developing an extensive membership survey. Now, we also did communication in tandem with the same survey, and it wasn't me alone. It's a team effort that not only came up with the questions, proofed the questions, and then sent it out and analyzed the questions to see across our nation what the members felt were their greatest needs and what they would like, how they would like us to try to support them in all those things. So one of the things I started this year and last year were what we call Monday membership moments. And that was that thanks to a past president of CFUW, Catherine Wilkinson, who said, "Oh, Anne, I hope when you're doing your membership that you reinstate the membership moments." And then our membership person from last biennium had one in the newsletter, and we took the idea and ran with it. And one of our members came up with a new graphic. So the idea is that we, meaning people of our members across the nation, get together and share ideas. And it's a fostering of insight and creativity that, oh, you're doing that. Oh, that's amazing. I hadn't thought of it that way. So we by the end of this biennium, we'll have organized 14, covering all sorts of topics from recruitment, retention, leadership, executive crossover, interest groups that we just had in January last week, or this week. Sorry, time flies. Increasing the CFUW profile, and next time in February, thanking our members in our club, in our region, and nationally. The other thing we started this year was and last year was instituting grants to help financially support projects that clubs are doing. So last February, so 2025, we were able to offer 20 grants, and in November we offered 13. The 13 were a little heftier than what we were able to offer in February because we wanted to really support our clubs coming up with new projects or updating their branding or very successful repeat things that if they had a little bit of money, they could do even more. Myself and our committee are responsible for awards, which you'll hear more about over the coming months. And one thing that I've just started is the idea of think tanks. Small groups of individual members who are passionate about different aspects of our organization, don't want to commit for a lifelong or even a term of work on a committee, but would love to get together and share ideas and creative thought. So we're starting those, and many of you have received an email saying that we're looking at supporting health and vitality in our clubs. We're looking at the resources, printed resources online that we're doing to make sure that we're phrasing it in a way that's approachable and useful to you. And lastly, we're looking at encouraging and supporting individuals in our clubs to be confident and active members to support leadership roles and activities to help us continue all the great work that we're doing. So that's it for me for this evening.
All right, thank you very much, Anne. And we're going to move on to Barb Gustafson, please. Barb, you're muted.
I hit the button. It didn't work. Anyway, serving as deputy president as well as VP of the Prairies. Some of the duties of deputy president include chairing the Human Resources Committee. And so some of the work we did this year, the past year and a half, is looking at the respectful treatment procedures. The policy remains unchanged. The procedures have changed, and we've tried to create more club-friendly materials to make it easier for especially for presidents who get into situations where they're wondering, how do I foster respectful treatment and deal with any issues that come up? We've looked at the Code of Ethical Behavior, which is related to respectful treatment. The Executive Director performance reviews are part of the HR committee, so that was done last year, and we're just in the process of doing that with the board and the staff. It is a 360 review, and that should be done in early February. We also work with the Finance Committee very closely because, as you can imagine, anything relating to staffing is also related to finance. I also have been serving as the chair of the Regional VP and RD Working Group. And this was a group that was created by the board to take a look at the processes that we now have in place, the job descriptions and the work of committees, of the RD committee, and just make sure that we're not duplicating, that we are clear in what our roles are. And we've had some excellent conversations so far. I was also honored to co-chair the virtual AGM in 2025. Being in Ottawa, getting to visit the national office was very interesting and a little warm, but we carried on and got through.
All right, thank you very much. Just there we go. Oh, well, you skipped Quebec. Did I miss something? Here we go. So we're going to go to Karen for highlights from across the Atlantic, as Karen is the VP of the Atlantic provinces.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, the Atlantic has 7 clubs scattered across the 4 Atlantic provinces. Our membership, some clubs are smaller than others, but 6 of the 7 have all had increases, some bigger than others, but nice to be trending up. Book sales are a very traditional fundraiser, and 4 clubs run them, and some make, I should have put like $4 for the St. John's Club for scholarships from their book sale, but there are other very successful ones in other clubs across the Atlantic. The coldest night of the year, we have 4 clubs who are participating and raising funds like other clubs across Canada. We still have book clubs, and our interests and focus on activities and advocacy run the gamut, from climate change, immigrant issues, homelessness, gender-based violence, aging, and equity, diversity, and inclusion. At the bottom, you'll see this, our AGM in 2025, a virtual one. We had 2 women talk about how they were breaking ground. Pamela Jeffrey started the Women's Executive Network that got women collaborating across executive positions and has grown exponentially. She gave us some very encouraging stats about the number of women involved in higher positions within companies and in politics, and that was juxtapositioned with a student graduating from UNB, who started Girls STEM Up, a girls organization to encourage girls in the STEM area, science, technology. I forget, terrible, memory lapse there. We all know the term anyway. And our fall gathering, we focused on our Atlantic Regional Council, our ARC history. A lot of us know a lot of that, but there are a lot of new members coming in too who don't know that. So we took the opportunity to let them know about the history that we have, and we looked at the purpose of our executive council and how we can build collaborations and share our information across the many clubs, thinking out of the box on that. We're going to continue work on that. And we had information on outreach projects. Here I've just listed a few: Memorial University Food Bank. There's some different ones that we don't normally think of when we think of clubs. The 1,000 Shoebox Initiative, which is probably more familiar. Moncton Head Start, which is a program that works with families to support children before school, and Inspire, which is a diversity, equity, inclusion initiative in Wolfville. Thank you. And the picture is from our art gathering in 2025, the last in-person gathering we've had.
And Karen, could you just, because it's about the board, could you explain your position as the VP, the chair of the governance committee?
Sure. Yeah, it's you'll see more of that information in our board role snippets when they're circulated. I'm as governance chair. I work with the board and staff to ensure three areas in particular: efficacy of our working policies and procedures, and especially this year in succession planning. So all of the stuff, information and aligning nominations committee information and member proposal information, etc., to inform the clubs of this being an election year. And then at the end of, in a few months, we will be focusing on our end of biennium review, evaluation, and building for the future.
All right, thank you very much.
You're
So
welcome.
we'll go on to Quebec, I believe is the next slide. Unfortunately, the Quebec Council did not have a VP for the a president of the Quebec Council. Judy Hops, who was one of the two RDs for Quebec, stepped forward and took over many of the duties that the president of the Quebec Council would have held. Most importantly, she is also chairing the local arrangements committee for the in-person AGM that we're going to be having in Montreal. The local arrangements committee is very much looking forward to hosting everybody in Montreal this summer, and we're working on getting somebody to take over the position of president, hopefully at the next AGM. All right. We can move on to Sandra for the VP Ontario successes.
Good evening. Regarding the 2024-2026 National Biennium to date, my primary mission as VP Ontario has been to bridge the gap between Ontario clubs and national. I didn't want to just be a national board member. I wanted to be a partner in Ontario club successes and to bring those successes to national board and clubs across Canada. To combat the post-COVID decline, I've prioritized being present at Ontario club meetings. I visited 18 of the 48 Ontario clubs so far, with a goal to reach 6 more by the end of the biennium. So I only have a few months to get to those 6 new clubs. We're working on club revitalization alongside Ontario's 6 regional directors. I'm actively mentoring clubs that feel they've lost momentum, helping them rediscover their spark and their purpose. We're ensuring that Ontario's voice is heard at the national level by reviewing and refining roles of the RDs and VPs to better serve the membership. Barb mentioned this particular subcommittee. In terms of growth and recognition, our efforts have been paying off in Ontario. Ontario clubs have seen a membership increase of 6% annually, which is important to the national picture as well. More importantly, we continue to grow in philanthropy, mentoring clubs, to manage an incredible 500,000 in scholarships this past year alone. Ontario Council, of which I'm president, introduced a new tagline that truly reflects who we are today: women leading change. As VP of Ontario, I bring this philosophy to the board. While the first half of VP Ontario's success is about internal strength, the second half is about our external impact. We're making sure CFUW remains a powerhouse of advocacy in Ontario. We're deepening our roots in the halls of power, from meetings with MPPs like Kristen Wong-Tam to connecting with local mayors. We're showing our clubs how to build direct lines to decision makers. We've focused on intentionality, from disseminating land acknowledgements to participating in UHA initiatives. UHA is University Women Helping Afghanistan Women, which is a club that came out of Ottawa, CFUW Ottawa. We empower local advocacy. We don't want to tell clubs what to care about. We give them the tools to fight for their own passions. And to that end, in Ontario, we've developed new partnership guidelines and projects to help CFUW clubs voice carry further. We've been active on the front lines of legislation, supporting Bill 55 in Ontario and challenging Bill 33. We're also revitalizing our intimate partner violence toolkit to ensure members have the most current resources for this critical work. Ontario is not a passive CFUW council. We're women leading change, and we bring that to every national meeting to strengthen not just Ontario, but through collaboration with national and the regions to bring new ideas to solve challenges and to foster success in every region across Canada. Thanks.
All right. I think I mute just 1 second. Oh, I am not muted. Thank you, Sandra, for that. And now we're going to go.
Linda, 1 second. Sorry, Karen, could you unshare and share again, if you wouldn't mind? Sorry.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. And go back in and then we'll get, yeah.
And then just so that Sheila's aware, you'll be the next person speaking, Sheila.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Is everything fine?
Oh, yeah, everything's good.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, for some reason I can't change my screen now. Huh.
All right,
Okay.
please bear with us while we take care of
Yeah.
our little technical issue.
Okay. I can bring this screen up, but I'm not. I may have to go out of the program entirely. Sorry for the problem.
You're okay, Karen. I see you in there.
Yeah, for some reason I lost control of changing the screen.
You can just use your arrows as well.
Yes, that was what I was trying to do. So
Okay.
for some reason that wasn't working. So just to let me see if yes, I can do it now. Thank you. Okay.
Perfect.
Sorry for the delay.
If we go to VP British Columbia,
I think Prairies is next.
but I think unless Barb wants to talk again, but I thought that she'd done her highlights. Barb, if you wanted to jump in, let me know.
The other highlights were focused more on the committee work, so I'll just take a moment here to talk about the prairies.
Perfect.
Quite different from Ontario, which is very organized, has a very strong council. We don't actually have a prairie council, so we have councils within Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then Manitoba with one club. We now have an RD, which is a great thing, and she represents the Winnipeg, the University Women's Club of Winnipeg. So the clubs remain strong that are across the three Western provinces. They generally membership is growing, although unfortunately we're about to lose one of the clubs from Alberta, one of the Calgary clubs. So some of the challenges are executive structures, as many clubs across the country are facing. But there's certainly strong advocacy work being done by the Alberta Council. There's very active scholarship programs across the three provinces. In Saskatchewan, one particular one is the New Beginnings Grant, which is not a scholarship, but a grant given to a mature student who it has primary financial responsibility for her family. And we had 70 applications this year, which really speaks to the need. CFUW Day was declared by our provincial government, and we have representation at both the University of Regina and University of Saskatchewan Senate, which is something that we're very proud of. So altogether across the prairies, doing well. Because we don't have a council, we did have a prairie gathering, and you can see one of the photos there, just a small group in the hospitality room, but we had very good attendance and an excellent set of speakers, I think, and a very rewarding time last June in Saskatoon. And thank you to the RDs across the Western provinces, the Prairie provinces, for their work as well.
All right, very good. Sorry, I almost missed you there. My apologies. Now we're going to move on to Sheila Service.
Thank you. Right now we have 19 active clubs in BC. Vancouver Island has 5, the Interior has 4, and BC West has 10. So we're down 2 from last year, but on the other side of that coin, we have growth in probably 70% of our clubs. In BC, we're very proud to be under the distinguished patronage of Her Honor the Honorable Wendy Kochia, CMOBC Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia. We also keep in close contact with our BC Seniors Advocate, and we're fortunate that our advocate is an independent one and does not have to work within a government system. He is well removed from that. Our BC clubs remain very active in highlighting advocacy issues as examples: elder care issues, kinship care, violence against women, affordable daycare, issues for youth in and out of aging out of foster care. All clubs support education for women and girls through the provision of local scholarships, and our clubs have embraced specific to their area's membership wishes, which gives each one a unique area to support, such as connections with local Indigenous women and high school education for girls and Africans and seniors resources. So that's us.
Thank you very much. Do you want to mention a little bit about being a chair of the Communications Committee?
Yeah, thank you. The Communications Committee started out as a special committee to look at in the previous biennium, looking at what do we need to do to bring ourselves into the future, and then it led to the next biennium, putting our focus on the new branding and the retaining the name of CFUW for educational and historical reasons, but switching to the more common CFUW so that we became aware of that. So we've been working in very close concert with membership and with the head of the RD group, Marlene Starkman. So we've had a busy year of trying to figure out which communications part belongs with the Communications Committee, because we have no desire to tell other committees what they're supposed to do and when and how. But we're finding our new role. And once the new branding was done, we have been just concentrating on where we should go as a standing committee in the future. It's been challenging and interesting, and I really have had great support from the people that were on those committees, plus the partners that we had within the other committees.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Sheila. I put you on the spot for that one.
Okay.
And now, now we're going to move on to Heather Oxman for advocacy.
Thank you. So I've got something here in the middle of my slide. So here are the highlights from advocacy. I'd also like to mention that beyond these highlights, we have study groups in long-term care, which is currently in abeyance, but we have an Elders Action Day coming up at the beginning of May. The healthcare study group is active, and we have a February 11th event coming up on heart health. So stay tuned for that. We have the Status of Women and Human Rights Subcommittee, which is going to host a March 20th public members invitational 1 hour seminar on gender-based violence and homelessness with someone from the Women's National Network on Homelessness as a speaker. We have the Environment and Climate Change Subcommittee, which has just held a fabulous recorded workshop webinar on building to net zero by 2050. Which is available if you want to see it on the CFUW YouTube page. And they're going to publish a series of short articles running up to Earth Day. So we have resolutions which we passed in 2025, which you are probably all familiar with. We've done some parliamentary briefs, thanks to the National Policy and Advocacy Specialist. We do an annual toolbox. We have the webinar, which I've mentioned. There are members Drive Resource Hub, which has the advocacy handbook to guide you in starting and continuing with various advocacy work that you want to do, and letters and briefs on the various related topics in advocacy. Everything from A to Z is listed. Things that we've done in the past, letters, template letters, briefs that have been written for Parliament, etc. Advocacy grants, which are new this year, and the deadline is tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern if you want to apply for an advocacy grant. Just billboarding that. I do an advocacy cafe monthly, but because I've been offering a Building Collective Impact Initiative workshop in November, January, and February, I've skipped the Advocacy Cafe. Those were 3 linked workshops about collaborating within communities, and I know that several of you online tonight have been attending those. The next one is February 12th. That's a wrap-up and a sort of discussion on how your clubs are doing with the work that we've done together. And the op-ed contest is open now if you want to participate. There's prizes, and so I challenge you to write an op-ed on an issue of your choice. And then I spend a lot of time listening and responding to members' desires, wishes, needs, and running the monthly standing committee meetings. In addition, I wanted to remind you that we, Grace, Audrey, and I work together to combat the tendency to work in silos. We have an advocacy working group, and we work in education, equity and social justice, and safe and healthy communities as our 3 clusters of advocacy, and we mix them all together. As Audrey stated earlier, education comes before advocacy, and raising awareness is the first step in the advocacy cycle. And that's it from me. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. And so now we're going to ask Susan Lane, who's our treasurer, CFUW treasurer, VP.
Oops. Hi.
We don't have a slide. Our apologies, a small technical issue, but Susan is more than capable of telling us what she does.
The technical issue is me. So I'm VP Finance, and I work with a really great finance committee. Our committee is different than the others one because basically our committee should be boring. There shouldn't be any surprises or exciting stuff happening in finance. We, with the board, look after the money. That's our fiduciary duty. The club is very good financial health. So we have a bookkeeper, and we have Jamie. Jamie develops the budget. Jamie works with the bookkeeper. We produce financial statements every month. The Finance Committee reviews those statements every month. And well, except the summer it's a bit, but every month other than say August or July. We also review the financial policies. And right now we're in the process of reviewing our investments and investment strategy. Because we look at those things every year, especially with the investments, because what was once considered all right to invest in, we find things change as the world changes. Because we have instructed our investment person to invest in what they call ESG, environmental, social governance, investments that would align with the policies and resolutions of CFUW. And we paid the GWI dues in December, so that's been done. In January, as you probably know, we've calculated the GWI dues for 2027 and the top up for 2026. So that's all there is from the Finance Committee.
There's a lot at the Finance Committee. Thank you so much, Susan, for that. And now we'll move on to the next slide. All right. So what are some of the great attributes and experiences that add value to the board? Before I get there, I just want to clarify, some of the board members have additional positions. Sheila is VP Communications. Karen is the VP of Governance. These are positions that are given by the board once they join the board. It's not necessarily given to the VP of British Columbia or the VP of the Atlantic provinces. I just wanted to make sure that was clear in case some of you, most of you are experienced, but if it's a first time, I just wanted to make sure that information was shared. All right, so back to great attributes and experiences that add value to the board. Of course, it would be very nice if we could have verbal and written communications. Technical and digital skills. It is helpful if you have some knowledge of Zoom, email, the internet, and social media. Not necessarily all of them. We can help to teach you to do things if you haven't done them before. Problem solving, analytical synthesis, and you can't have a lisp. You need to be motivational. You need to have an ability to listen, to truly listen to other people. We all have different opinions and we can all learn from each other. So it's important to be able to have a little bit of give and take. Willingness to work in a variety of teams and provide mutual support to each other. Need to have integrity. Financial literacy is helpful. A good sense of humor, leadership, open-mindedness, and creativity. So hopefully some of those attributes are shared, I believe, by everybody who's here tonight. So those would be attributes that would help you to become a leader at your local club, which many of you are, or leaders in other committees and organizations. All right. So just give me 1 second here. So now we're going to hand it over to the nominations chair, Janet Wilworth. Janet?
Yes, thank you, Linda, very much. Okay, I'll be going through really the first part of this agenda, the process for nomination with the deadlines. And the second section concerning orientation, after you actually become a member of the board, I think Linda will speak to towards the end of the session. Okay, okay. So every position, whether or not there is an incumbent who is eligible to fill the position for another term, is open for nomination. So incumbents can be challenged. And a change that has happened over the most recent biennium is that incumbents may run for a second or a third term, except the president. So certainly we want to put it out there that incumbents can be challenged. So if you have an interest in a position, please don't let the fact that there's an incumbent there dissuade you from putting your name forward. And there was the newsletter on November 25th. If you want to reference that, has a good timeline and overview of the nominations process. So that's a good thing to go to get an overview of the process. Okay. Now we have this slide here, things to consider before joining the board, because CFUW's administrative manual does set out expectations for board members to have an understanding of the responsibilities and commitment that the position entails. So I think what we wanted to state, I guess, quite clearly is that being on the board is a significant time commitment, and I can attest to that. I have been there. There are meetings of the board, regular monthly meetings, along with committee meetings. Linda has indicated that most of the board members are also members of committees. You're expected to attend events like the AGM and some of the CFUW webinars. There is preparation for the meetings that includes reading reports, financial documents, and other items to be discussed, as well as possibly preparing information for the board meetings yourself. And of course, you will learn about CFUW governance and policies. And Linda had just previously mentioned all the sort of skills and knowledge that people bring to the board, and we would all hope that you'd be prepared to contribute your own expertise and experience to the formation of board decisions. Okay. There has been created a nominations folder on the members drive, and that is on our Google Drive. And there will be a link to the nominations folder, which will eventually have all these items in it. You can review the board roles and responsibilities. The newsletter, the November 25th newsletter with the nominations information, the position descriptions, board trading cards, which I think is the member informal bios, which have, I think, been appearing in the newsletters, and the nomination forms and the committee applications, which will be added following the elections. Okay. Now, the nominations committee is appointed by the board, and I am the chair. And I'm very pleased, so pleased to have Sharon Crabb from CFUW Fredericton and Joy Hurst from CFUW Edmonton. They're both here tonight, and I'm very grateful to have them with me, and I know we'll be looking forward to working together. Okay. So the nominations consists of two parts. Each candidate has an application to submit, and it is required that any applicant must be nominated by her club. And that club nomination form is a separate form that the club executive has to submit to the nominations committee international. And the use of Google Forms was introduced at the last board elections. And I think over the last 2 years, more of us have become accustomed to using Google Forms, and hopefully this system will work well. It worked pretty well last time, and it's going to be better, even better this time. So there are 2 ways to be nominated. Just as we've discussed, going through a nomination application and club nomination. And the deadline for that will be April 13th and submitted to the committee. And the other is being nominated from the floor of the AGM. And I'll just briefly say that that can happen if a candidate has not presented a completed nomination form prior to the cutoff date. The presiding officer at the AGM is required under our rules to ask, once the officially nominated candidates have been presented for a position, whether there are any nominations from the floor. And at that time, someone can be nominated
with the proviso that they do have to have a club nomination form. That is a requirement of our articles and bylaws. So that would have to be done ahead of time. Okay. When you submit your application for nomination, just generally what we'll be looking for is your experience in CFUW, your work community and volunteer experience, your reason for wanting to be on the board, and we're asking for 2 references. Now, the application form, to remember, will be posted on the members site on the Google Drive. So it will be there for the membership to read. So just so that you're aware of that. And we will check the references, but they are confidential and they will not be public in any way. For your club nomination form, 2 executive members have to sign it, and they will be asked for their contact information just so that we know we can contact them if there's any issue. And the club, when they nominate a candidate, is confirming that she is a member in good standing of the club, because that is a requirement of our articles and bylaws, and that they believe the candidate meets the qualifications for the position. And these must be received by April 13th in order to complete the candidate's nomination. So what does the nomination committee do after we have our applications? We first, of course, ensure that the forms are complete. So that's in our review. We do contact the candidates' references to see if there are any concerns. But the most important thing to remember is that we are a democracy, in a manner of speaking. Our members look at the information that the candidates have provided and cast their vote at the AGM for the candidate of their choice. So when a club casts its vote, hopefully the club members have had a chance to evaluate the candidates and to vote in their own clubs on how they want their voting delegate to cast their ballot at the AGM. So that is hopefully what we will have a completed slate of excellent candidates when this process is completed. And there will be a Meet the Candidates webinar on April 30th, and that's a chance for everyone to meet those who have put their name forward and to ask any questions and to learn a bit more about them. So we hope that everybody will put that in their calendars for before they decide how they're going to cast their ballots at the AGM. Okay. So the elections will take place at the AGM on July 22nd. And the campaigning by nominees no campaigning is permitted. And but where there is a contested nomination, the candidates can speak in support of their nomination at the AGM. But what's not permitted is for the candidates to contact various clubs and or for anyone else to contact clubs on their behalf to advocate for that club to vote for that particular candidate. It's the information that is submitted that is the information that everybody has. Okay, I see.
But we're going to address the questions at the end.
Yeah.
All right. And then it's just so everybody knows, it's usual to have a meeting between the old board and a new board immediately after the AGM to discuss the transition of the board. And board orientation begins the afternoon of Friday, July 24th at the 2026 AGM in Montreal. Do we have, I think there are a couple of questions, Anne, from the chat.
Yes. I mean, the last one was mine, so let's deal with that one first. If, well,
I'm just
Dual-
teasing. It's just cute. It's all good.
dual members, if you are a dual member, is it stipulated somewhere which club should or must confirm and recommend a candidate, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. What our bylaws say is that they must be a member in good standing of a club.
Thanks. Just wanted to check. And the other one's a great one, is the February 11th is also International Day of Women and Girls in Science. So it would be great if the Heart Health webinar might also be able to champion some of the women in science that contribute to heart health. Wonderful idea. So I'm just bringing that to everyone's attention. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the members that are here tonight?
Yeah.
Yes, Louise?
Sorry, I'm looking for my symbol, but you'll just get me then.
I got you.
I have two questions. The first goes way back to slide 5 or 6, I think, and Karen Dunnett was talking, and you were talking about the general responsibilities of the board. And I was curious that there was no mention for the interactions and the responsibilities with and for GWI. And I know that Grace spoke about that in more depth later on, but as that first core message, why was not even a simple message put in there?
Oh, good question, but it's part of international relations. It's part of CFUW, but tonight it was to talk about the board. So I'm not sure. I don't believe it was in last year's webinar or 2 years ago either. It's a part of what CFUW, it's part of our partnerships with the GWI, but it's not part of demystifying the board from what I can see. And Grace did talk about it in the international relations.
And that I did hear. It just seemed that,
Okay.
I don't know, it seemed like it was a missing piece. It kind of felt to me like it should have been even one word or one statement, but I'll leave that for thinking. My second question comes much later on, and this was for VP of BC, Sheila Service. She was talking about the new branding, and I may have missed some information somewhere in the last few months, but when I was reading some materials a few weeks back, it jumped to my eye that in one of the boilerplate paragraphs, and I can't even remember where, but it spoke about CFUW, but nowhere was the translation for the French acronym. Are we dropping the French part of it and just sticking with CFUW?
No, not at all. It's absolutely CFUW, FCFDU. And that's in all of our taglines. It's on the website as well, or it should be. And our website's in English, but you can click on French to have it in French. But FCFDU is very strong, and our tagline is bilingual. It's the two together.
And I appreciate all the translations that I'm seeing in all the newsletters that are coming by. I'm grabbing as many of them to bring to my French group. So it is moving through slowly, but it is moving through. So it is well appreciated.
And just so you know, we are working on translation projects at CFUW. That's another project that we're working on. There's quite a few. It's in a presentation tonight. We don't want to keep you here for 3 hours, but there's a great deal of projects that we're all working on. So and translation is one of them.
Understood and appreciated. Merci beaucoup.
Avec plaisir. Bonne soirée. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? Do we have any other questions?
Linda, may I just jump in there? In our new branding, we have several banners of with different, some, as you can see, both Linda and I have the backdrop that has CFUWF, CFDU. We have some French only. We have the bilingual, and so the one you saw was, one of the ones that didn't have FCFDU on it. our club being in the only bilingual province in Canada, we use them all, even though our club primarily works in English.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or questions? Anne?
The one thing I didn't mention was how exciting and wonderful it is for each of us on the board to have an opportunity to visit clubs both locally and far afield. And it helps us to stay connected with what's happening in the clubs that goes beyond being in a Zoom meeting. So this year, I've not only visited a number of the Ontario clubs that are closer geographically and accessible by car, but I was able to get to the West Coast and spend time in Vancouver with, and also meet several of the Vancouver West presidents who were there for a meeting. And I was stopped, literally an overnight stop in Edmonton. I couldn't get to Calgary, but I did get to Edmonton. So that's fun for all of us, whoever we are on the board, to be able to connect locally with individual clubs. And lastly, as membership, I'd never been to the UN, and it was a huge experience and wonderful opportunity to see us in the international sphere. That was last spring's CSW 69. That's it.
Thank you very much. We're in preparation now for CSW 70, and with everything that's going on in the world, it's a little added pressure, but we're looking forward to joining forces with other women who are able to work on behalf of other groups that perhaps could not be there. So if there aren't any other questions or comments, I'll wrap it up. I just want to thank you. I just want to thank everyone for a wonderful webinar tonight. Thank you to Karen, Janet, all of the board members who are here tonight. Of course, Jamie Mabinti from the national office. And thank you to all of the CFUW members who are here tonight and who gave your time. I hope that some of your curiosity was piqued tonight. I hope we've answered your questions, and I hope that we have sparked a desire in you to come and join us at the national level, either as a committee member, a board member, and again, please know that your ideas are always welcome. If there's something that you didn't mention tonight or ask, you're always free to send us an email or to call us. We look forward to hearing from you. And I just want to let you know that if you have any more questions with regards to nominations and governance, you can reach out to Karen. Her information is here. It'll be in the webinar that is sent out to you. You've got Janet's information as well. She was available to answer questions for you. And I just want to make sure this is a nice new slide that we've added at the end of all of our webinars. We've got Mabinti Torre, who's here from the office. Elle parle français aussi, si quelqu'un veut lui parler en français, le français est toujours bienvenu. And she's got, she works on our members drive. So here's a link for the members drive. I suggest that you take a look at the, there's a little map that Mabinti has created, which is a great tool for finding information on the members drive. And don't forget to look at our website. It changes all the time. If you haven't been in there in a few months, please go check it out. It's very much a living website that changes constantly. So thank you to the national staff. Thank you to everybody who came out tonight. And I wish you, I hope that all of you want to run for something. And if not at the board level, join a committee. And if not a committee, I'm sure that I think many of you are probably already working at your executive, at your club level in the executive, in an executive position. And without you guys, we are nothing. So thank you very much. And we hope that we spark something in you tonight.
I'm going to do a print screen, so anyone who doesn't want to be on the picture,
keep your eyes open.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.